has slowed down. I don't know why. I have some suspicions, but it is very important that these appeals are filed by September 1st. On the assessment clinic appeal, we will make sure we talk about what the filing fee is. It's a single page form. While the borough cannot represent you, you can hire your own attorney, and you need to hire an assessor at the time of your hearing. And there will be times when the borough, so, you know, one of the things that I've looked at is I've looked at some of the commercial properties in the borough. And tonight in my report, I'm going to ask council for authorization to make sure that the commercial properties in the borough are paying their fair share. Their assessments weren't double. Some of them stayed the same. So the borough, as a taxing authority, we're an interested party, and we have before, and we will continue to file tax assessment appeals when we believe that the county is ignoring a business or some commercial enterprise. There's one that's currently owned by a funeral home that I know is completely undervalued at the time. That is the bulk of what I wanted to discuss around the tax assessment appeals. As such, I would ask for a motion to authorize the solicitor to file tax assessment appeals for undervalued commercial properties within the borough.
Is there a motion?
So moved, but I also have a question.
Is there a second?
Second, Road Cloud.
Having been moved and properly seconded, Councilor Cave, you have a question?
Yeah, Mr. Gibbs, can you explain what you meant by the undervalued commercial properties? Give me some clarification.
Yeah, I can. There is, and I'm going to be careful because the borough is in active litigation with a particular cemetery that is in the borough that was valued at a dollar figure that is well below its known market value. We are in a tax assessment fight currently with them, and I believe that the county assessed the property at a number that is far less than what our independent assessor actually did as a part of our litigation. We will file an appeal about that. There is a funeral home, a building owned by a funeral home that was assessed as a vacant property, but I believe it's an office building that actually generates revenue. It's something that we would file an appeal for. So if a commercial property has been undervalued, it's something that we pay attention to.
Does that appeal also, is it also miscategorizations though too? It sounds like?
It may be the cemetery is not a miscategorization. We all know it's a cemetery. Right. What the value of the cemetery is, I think it's a lot higher because the cemetery has, one of the things we look at, and I've learned more about how you value a cemetery because of the litigation the borough's involved in. You look at the amount of vacant land and the amount of plots that have been sold that are unfilled, and that's how you set the value. But you also set, every square foot in the borough comes in at a certain dollar figure. So when you break down how many square feet of property exists in a borough, just real estate, everything should add up. It should average out. And if it doesn't average out, our position as a borough is that there's not uniformity in taxes. The Pennsylvania Constitution requires uniformity in taxation. It requires it. So, if you buy a house for $200,000 and they change your assessment, that the house next door is for $25,000, but it's in the same shape as yours, there's no uniformity, and that's the basis for an appeal.
Got it. Thanks.
I have a question, if I may. Thank you. Solicitor, if I heard you correctly, you advised that the citizens who wish to file an appeal, they could drop their appeal form off to an employee at the borough so that it could be filed. I'm sorry?
No later than 12 o'clock on Friday.
Right,
but
no later than.
It's also a check.
Okay, so there's a payment for the appeal.
There is a payment for the appeal. We're going to discuss the process for the appeal next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 6 o'clock on Zoom.
Right. So that leads me to the second question. So you also advise that if, for example, your property is worth 300, but they assessed you at 200, it makes no sense, basically, to file for the appeal because you're basically telling them that they under assessed. So once the appeal is filed, the person can also withdraw the appeal. Is that correct? Because there's not going to be enough time to really get someone to come out and, you know, assess your property.
So I just want to caution that we're not getting into the assessment clinic right now. Like, these are items that can be discussed within the assessment clinic. Right now, we are in the midst of the vote to allow our solicitor to dispute the ones that were the commercial properties that were reassessed incorrectly. So, but I'm
okay. I just didn't want to, you know, start like a panic and people are panicking. Like, I got to get this form to the borough, but I also have to find out, is it worth it?
Okay, so that can be discussed on the assessment clinic Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. All right, thank you.
This was point number one. I am not anyone's attorney other than the Borough of Yeadon's attorney and the elected officials. So I'm not giving people legal advice. I don't know whether you can withdraw it, number one. Number two, people can actually mail their appeals in. This was not something that just popped up. People have had their reassessments for almost a month and a half now. Thank you, Madam President.
All right. So without any additional question or commentary from our counselors, I'm going to ask for a roll call vote. Counselor Cade? Counselor Cade?
Yes, thank you. I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Francis?
Yes.
Counselor Johnson? Counselor Johnson?
Yes.
Counselor Jones Waters?
Yes.
Counselor McCabe? Counselor McCabe? Counselor Roadcloud?
Yes.
All right, it's a yes from me, and the motion carries.
Madam President, may I proceed?
Yes.
There is a agenda item relating to hiring a third party to interview employees regarding personnel matters. I don't actually need a vote. I wanted to inform council that in the event that we have a personnel matter that requires an investigation, if I am not the appropriate person, given that I am the solicitor and Borough Code Section 1116 charges me with conducting all the legal affairs of the borough, I would notify council that I would use an investigator or a third party to interview employees. Sometimes as a solicitor, I've found that interviewing employees can be problematic. So I wanted to make sure that council was aware that is something that you could see that we do as we try to investigate EEOC or other personnel issues in the borough.
Thank you.
Thank you. Finally, we are experiencing, from my understanding, a number of people using the park in a manner that may not be appropriate given what's going on with COVID and could be an increasing cost to the borough. I would ask for council to authorize borough management, particularly Mr. Nafis Nichols, to analyze the cost of the borough given COVID with the eye towards amending section 2063 of the Borough Code regarding Yeadon Community Park. Currently, we charge a $100 refundable deposit or $150 refundable deposit, and I believe they get back everything except $50. Am I right, Miranda?
Correct.
Okay, so the borough's cost is probably greater than $50, so I'm going to ask that Nafis work with the police chief and with the code department to figure out what our cost is. We can't just raise fees. We can't just set arbitrary numbers, but I think that the police are having to, chief has, in our COVID meetings, has talked about making sure that we've had police available to respond to Yeadon Park on off hours and the monitoring and processing. So I'm going to ask for number one, council to authorize our fees to conduct a financial analysis. And number two, a motion to authorize the borough solicitor to advertise and draft an ordinance changing whatever fees are necessary pursuant to Mr. Nichols' advice. It could be one motion.
So moved on
All
the
right.
motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, having been moved and properly seconded, I'd like to add for the benefit of the public who may not be aware, some of the instances that we've had are, you apply for a permit for a 3-year-old birthday party that for 15 to 20 people that turns into 80 people with tons of cars parked on the field, which isn't permitted at all. That service road is for the borough use only. So I've actually requested that our chief and our public works director, chief of police and public works director, restrict the use of that key. If people are having events in the park, they need to figure out how they're going to get their items into the park without using that service road. It is a service road only. It is not to be unlocked for any other reason. It's a hazard to the community. It's a soccer field. It's a play field. If you're in a tall vehicle, you can't see small children who are running around. So it is a danger to our community, which is why we are making this recommendation. And we expect some cooperation from our residents who are, and honesty as well. So if we're not getting that on a consistent basis, we're going to have to put in a stronger deterrent, much like our Borough Hall, so that we are not left with costs that we're absorbing from damage that they're causing. We also want to make sure that we protect our residents and our police from just unhealthy and unnecessary interactions with one another. It was a 3-year-old birthday party, so there wasn't one officer in Yeadon who would shut it down, but there were citations that were issued for some of the code violations. Is there any other commentary from our counselors or questions?
I do have a question.
Councilor Rowe-Cloud.
Thank you. With respect to the section relating to permits, that section specifically relates to permits. So what would be the amendment, or we don't know yet? Is it the cost, or what would be the amendment?
So at the current time, I am not confident that the borough is, I think the borough is expending resources to monitor in COVID world money that we're not making from the usage fee, but it could be a authorization for police and code to take certain actions. It could also be an amendment related to the fee and the refundability of the fee and the conditions upon which the fees are refunded. So for example, as the council president laid out, if we know that people are using a service road and it's something we have to maintain, and that wasn't something we contemplated, we would then not refund their money.
Okay.
But it's all speculation. Now it's something we have to go through a study process, and we will report back at council, and there would be a public hearing in the ordinance amendment.
Yeah, because when I was reading the actual section earlier, it says basically the entire fee was refundable, and I was confused as to why that was.
Me too, and that's what I read, but I understand, and that Ms. Presswood brought it to my attention. There was some conflict between our forms and our fees and our actual practices. And I want to make sure we're following our borough code. And one of the ways we follow our borough code is by amending the borough code when there are inconsistencies.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So we'll proceed with a roll call vote. Councilor Cade?
Yes.
Councilor Francis?
Yes.
Councilor Jones-Waters?
Yes.
Councilor Johnson?
Yes.
Councilor McCabe? Councilor Rowe-Cloud?
Yes.
All right, so yes from me as well.
Dr. McCabe is back.
McCabe was yes.
Thank you, Dr. McCabe. All right, the vote is unanimous, the motion carries.
I'll conclude my report with we are still paying close attention to litigation mitigation. The chief and I have embarked in a process of making sure that our police policies and procedures are consistent with best practices. I know just from some of the work the chief has showed me, we are lucky to have a chief that understands the nuances of policing in the 21st century. And I believe that we will be bringing to council the adoption of a set of policies in the next few months. We're going through it. I want to make sure we protect our officers, protect our chief, and protect our police and our council by making sure that everyone understands what our policies and procedures are. The chief has been great with working with me on it. We also are paying close attention, and I won't talk for the chief. We received a request recently for our policies. And there at University of Pennsylvania Law School has requested police policies from every department in Pennsylvania. They are trying to see who has best practices, who doesn't. There were policies that were articulated, and I've had the chance to start reviewing them. We've had policies that were articulated before Chief Paparo got here that were not best practices, but everything he's done thus far is best practices. And we're going to make sure we continue to be at the forefront of being a borough that is doing things the right way. So once again, thank you. I'll close with thank you again to everyone in borough leadership for your expressions and love and affection. It makes me completely uncomfortable since the last time I ever mentioned it, but I really appreciate you all. And it has warmed my heart more than my cold warrior heart likes to be warmed. Thank you.
You're welcome. We will move on to our tax collectors report.
Good evening, Madam President. I will give the tax collector report this evening. One thing that I will say about the assessments that the tax collector wanted to just let everyone know is myself and she are receiving updates from the county as residents are appealing their real estate assessments. And we've had so far 19 Yeadon residents actually have appeal hearings out at the county. We are waiting for the outcome of those appeals, and I will keep you all abreast as they come in. But the county has been doing the appeal hearings. They started the first week of August, and thus far, you know, we've had about 19 residents go out. For the month of July, real estate collection was $87,002.43. Full sewer, $14,355.88. Trash, $10,434. That is the report.
Madam President, if I may just for a second.
Sure.
I also wanted to address the Portnoy issue. I am going to reach out to Portnoy. They are under our borough code, kind of an arm of the solicitor, and I'm going to reach out and figure out what the information is. I've also received some phone calls, so that's something I will report back to at the next council meeting.
Thank you. We will move on to our engineers report. Eileen. Eileen.
Okay, now I'm unmuted. Okay. Okay, the first item, Miranda already mentioned the sewer repair that was done in the vicinity of 49 East Providence, and that was a backup that kept occurring over a couple-day period. The Public Works Department televised the line. It indicates that there's a lot of additional issues on that section. However, we chose, due to the cost constraints, we did replace 73 linear feet of pipe, and if this was done as an emergency repair, if council could authorize the expenditure to do that work, that would be appreciated.
Do we have a motion?
So moved, Madam President.
Is there a second? Thank you. Councilor Cade? Is there a discussion or any questions?
Councilor, am I muted or?
I can hear you.
Am I muted or I'm muted?
Councilor Johnson, I can hear you.
Okay, I do have a question in that area. Eileen, is this the stretch of land, street that was done back in, I think it was year 17 or 18, when that street was open? Didn't we do that area at one time before, if my memory served me correct?
No, it wasn't Providence. It was, oh my goodness, I can't believe I can't remember. Begins with an E. Was it Elder Avenue?
No, it was Providence. It was same.
Where we
So this
did the
is
whole.
East.
This is East Providence.
This is East Providence. That was West Providence.
Okay, thank you.
And West Providence a couple years ago was storm sewer. Now they're doing the sanitary sewer. Okay.
All right, that answers the question. Thank you.
Chief Papara, you have a question for Eileen?
Yeah, it's because of the construction work there. Eileen, they're at the top of the hill, one of the manhole covers that they're working on, it looks like they have it like out of sync with the street. It's almost protruding up like 5-6 inches. Are they going to repair that before they leave? Are they going to leave it like that? Or are they going to make it flat with the street? Do you know?
Okay, that is West Providence. Now you're talking West Providence, and that one I just got a message from them saying that they did that yesterday, that they made it flush yesterday. So they will make it flush, even if they thought they did it and it's still not. I don't know. I haven't been there today, but they were addressing that. But that's West Providence. So the work we were just asking for authorization to ratify or whatever to authorize is East Providence.
Yeah, I didn't know if that was still part of the whole same thing or not.
Exactly.
No, it isn't. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Without anything additional, we will call for the vote. Councilor Cade?
Yes.
Councilor Francis?
Yes.
Councilor Johnson?
Yes.
Councilor Jones-Waters?
Yes.
Councilor Dr. McCabe? Councilor McCabe? Councilor Rowe-Cloud?
Yes.
That's a yes from me. The vote is unanimous. The motion carries.
Okay, the next item is, Miranda also brought this one up. Back around July 4th, there was a sinkhole that showed up at the intersection of Cypress and Parmley, and there was a huge void under there, and they ended up replacing 20 linear feet in each of the 4 directions from that manhole. And that was also done by Agar Jewel, but it's under their sanitary sewer contract, and that amount was $34,500. So that needs to be approved as well.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Council, any discussion? Councilor Cade?
Nope.
Wait, I'm sorry. Now this is I'm going to call for the vote since there's no discussion. Councilor Cade?
Yes.
Councilor Francis?
Yes.
Councilor Johnson?
Yes.
Councilor Jones-Waters?
Yes.
Councilor McCabe?
Yes.
Thank you. Councilor Rowe-Cloud?
Yes.
It's a yes from me. The vote is unanimous. The motion carries.
Okay, the next item, while the roof work was being done, it was observed that the clock tower base, which is all wood, it's a frame structure going around the base of the clock, was really deteriorated, and they gave a proposal of $12,200 to replace that wood and also to put metal panels over the wood so that you would no longer have that deterioration. So it'll look like the metal that's on the 2 sections of metal roof that have the blue roof now. It'll be white, but it'll be that same type of material. So the management team authorized that, but we need council approval. They authorized the cost of it, and now council needs to approve it.
So moved, Madam President. Second, Madam President.
Thank you very much. Any questions?
I have one question, Madam.
I have a question.
Yeah. Madam President, to Eileen, is this going to be replaced with wood again? How are we going to know that this is going to last longer than what it did before?
So it will be wood, and then on top of the wood, they'll do a metal roof, like metal, not a metal roof, metal plates,
Must be
so
nice.
that it covers the wood, and then that would keep it from getting the deterioration.
Okay, thank you.
Madam
What was
President,
the cost before?
I'm sorry, I think Councilor Roadcloud and then Jones Waters, but we also have our solicitor.
No, I
Okay,
didn't
good.
ask. No, I don't have a question.
if
Okay,
we
Mr. Gibbs?
could, if we can condition, Mr. Nichols, are you here?
Yes, Mr. Gibbs.
If we could condition this vote upon approval of the solicitor, engineer, and borough manager, I would ask for authority to have this particular roofer do the work, conditioned upon approval, legal, engineer, and borough management approval. If the council needs, we can try to do an executive session on a different Zoom. I have a concern about potential litigation before we award before we award our contract.
So are we awarding a contract, or are we awarding just the type of?
I think we're hiring.
You're issuing no, you're not hiring. You're issuing a change order to their existing contract. And this is not, they wouldn't be doing roofing. It's going to be just replacement of the panels that are around the clock tower. It's because it's up on the upper level and they have the lift there already. That's why the price that they're offering, they've already rented that lift so they can do the work while the lift is already there. So it was just more expedient to do it this way. But it's not a roof that they're doing. It's actually support around the clock tower. Vertical supports around the clock tower.
Are the concerns deep enough that we should probably consider tabling until further discussion, or no?
I'm actually texting. If we could go to, if we could table this item C and go to item D, E, and F and come back to C.
Do we need a motion to table? Okay, so we have a motion to table.
Second. On the table.
All right. Do we need to vote on the table?
Is there any objection? You can ask if there's any objection.
Are there any objections to tabling the motion? Hearing none, item C is tabled, and we'll move on to item D. Eileen.
Okay, so item D, the two blue roofs, that are the metal roofs, they're the atrium roofs. They did not have working gutters and downspouts. The lower atrium roof did not have any at all to begin with, and the upper level were not functioning. So we believe that it would benefit to have both of them have gutters and downspouts, and the amount for that they offered, again, because the lift is already there, is $2,375.
So moved, Madam President.
Second, Madam President.
Question.
Thank you. Councilor Johnson.
Yeah, question. Again, Eileen, what was done to that part of the roof in year 2017 or 2018? Why in just 2 years there is damage to that area again?
I don't know what was done to the roof back then. I know that the borough had roofing patches done, but I thought they were done up on the shingle roof. I wasn't aware that you did any work to the metal roof area. I think the borough handled that, and I don't know that any of us that are here tonight were actually participated in.
Were you not the engineer at that point in time?
I was, but we didn't do anything. I guess the borough handled it themselves. I don't know anything about it.
I have a similar question because I recall being present and the roof had to be twice.
Thank you.
So I know that we have been making repairs to the roof. What we've most recently authorized is a replacement. Is that correct, Eileen?
Now you're doing the replacement, right? Before you did some repairs, but I'm not sure where.
There was a lot of patchwork being done to the roof that clearly didn't serve the purpose. So now what we've authorized a few months ago was a replacement. And so now we're in the replacement process. Does that make sense, Councilor Jones Waters, Councilor Johnson?
Replacement other
It
than,
doesn't to me.
yeah,
Is there
replacement rather than patch does make sense, but I am quite sure that that's not what was stated back then. But I won't belabel that issue because I don't have the paperwork in front of me.
Yeah, so
And
what I
Councilor-
recall was authorizing all of the patchwork has not been holding up. So now we've authorized a replacement.
And that is
and
correct,
then-
Madam President, because if you all recall, we were going to do more patchwork over the council chamber section of the borough. And when we got those bids in, the amount was to do the patchwork were astronomical, and it was only going to give us a lifespan of about 3 to 5 years before we needed to replace the entire roof. So it was decided that we will replace the entire roof, and we budgeted for it in our capital improvement budget this year to do just that, so that we can have a longer life expectancy of the patchwork that have been done over the course of so many years.
And then additionally, what's the vote that's on the table now is about gutters and downspouts that were disconnected and not functioning. So this isn't exactly the roof, but this is work that can be done while they have that appropriate lift available for the gutters and downspouts, which are not technically part of the roof, but once they got up there to look at them, realized that they're not in good working condition. Okay.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we?
I have a quick question. I'm sorry. My question is this the same company that gave the bid for the clock platform, repair of the clock platform?
Are you talking about the tabled item
Same contract.
It's
the same contract.
Okay, because I'm just a little confused now, because if we have a concern with respect to potential litigation for that job, why are we going to?
I jump in. I've had the chance to talk to Mr. Nichols. I do not have that concern, and any concerns that I have are absolved by the language in our current contract that we have with our roofer.
Okay, say no more. Thank you.
All right, so I'll call for the vote. Councilor Cade?
Yes.
Councilor Francis?
Yes.
Councilor Johnson?
Yes.
Councilor Jones Waters?
Yes.
Councilor Dr. McCabe? Councilor Dr. McCabe?
Yes.
Thank you. Councilor Rowe-Cloud?
Yes.
Thank you. And that's a yes from me. The vote is unanimous. The motion carries. Is there a motion to bring item C back off of the table?
So move.
Second.
All right, and we can continue then, Mr. Gibbs, with the vote then for item
Yes,
C.
ma'am. Based
All
on
right.
my conversation with Nichols, yes.
Can you
Great
repeat?
disclaimer. For item
Sorry,
C is the consideration of the approving a change order to ADU services for the replacement of the defective wood sheathing and new wood and metal panels at the base of the clock tower to minimize maintenance in the amount of $12,200.
So moved.
Council.
Already moved.
It's already moved, I think.
Yes, it's been moved and seconded. Thank you, Councilor Johnson. I'll call for the vote. Councilor Cade?
Yes.
Councilor Francis?
Yes.
Councilor Johnson?
Yes.
Councilor Jones Waters?
No.
Councilor Dr. McCabe?
Yes.
Councilor Rowe-Cloud?
Yes.
It's a yes from me. The motion carries. Eileen, I believe we are on item F or E?
E. Last year, the borough, I think it was last year, I don't know, time, this year has been very odd. But anyway, Duncan Avenue, you did a sewer repair because there had been sinkholes developing there. And you're also doing that work at West Cobbs Creek, which the president mentioned earlier. And we're at a point where we could actually do street paving of those two sections. And I spoke to Mr. Nichols, and he said that there are liquid fuels funds. If you do $100,000 worth of work, then the paving price drops 40% per square yard. So we wanted to ask for council authorization to go for a project with PennDOT to use liquid fuels monies to pave Duncan Avenue, the rest of that block. Half of it had already been done a couple years ago when we did the sewer replacement there. So it would finish Duncan at 900 block of Duncan Avenue, and then we would go on West Cobb's until we use up $100,000. So we won't be catching up to where they've done their work, but we'll at least start the restoration of West Cobb's Creek.
And Madam President, before you call for the vote, the $100,000 was a 2019 liquid fuels allocation. So it's not borough money, but it's actually state money that we get every year. And this is from 2019. So we actually have to spend this before December 31st of this year. They won't allow us to continue to carry it over. So I just want to note that this $100,000 is already literally sitting in our bank account waiting to be spent.
Madam President, I want to ask a question. Yeah, question.
So I'm going to ask for a motion.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. And I think Councilor Francis, you have a question?
Yeah, when you say West Cobb's Creek, would that encompass around the trolley area?
No, it will be up where they started the sewer work up at Longacre.
Okay. Is there anything on plans to do that area around there?
Well, they'll be working all the way down. They're heading down south, so they'll be getting down to where the triangle is, or the island, whatever you want to call it. So they'll be working their way down there, and then as work gets done, we'll be asking for authorization to pave that.
Thank you.
So, yeah, so the infrastructure below has to be repaired first, and then we can follow behind them and do the paving, the permanent street paving.
And I had another question. Just roughly, how much more paving will that get us? I mean, as far as distance wise.
Oh, let me see if I can quickly get that estimate. Well, would you want to move on, and then while someone else is speaking, I'll try to find that for you? Just
and it doesn't have to be. Yeah, it doesn't have to be tonight. Just it's just my curiosity.
I know exactly how much it is. I just have to find the spreadsheet for you.
Yeah, it's not urgent.
Okay.
All right, so we'll call for the vote then, if there's no further discussion. Councilor Cave?
Yes.
Councilor Francis?
Yes.
Councilor Johnson?
Yes.
Councilor Jones-Waters?
Yes.
Councilor Dr. McCabe?
Yes.
Councilor Roadcloud?
Yes.
Say yes for me. The vote is unanimous. The motion carries.
Okay, because the ADU is your storm sewer contractor, they still have two inlets that they need to do from the existing project. Garjoul has, well, I'm going to be bringing that up under H, but it seems like we just keep coming up with new areas. So in order to let them finish what the work on their plate, I'd like to ask for an authorization to extend those contracts again. I don't think we'll need to do it for more than a month, but I'm going to ask for 3 months. And these are just your maintenance. These are your maintenance contracts.
Second.
Having been moved and properly seconded on the question. Hearing none, we'll do a roll call. Councilor Cave?
Yes.
Councilor Francis?
Yes.
Councilor Johnson?
Yes.
Councilor Jones-Waters?
Yes.
Councilor Dr. McCabe?
Yes.
Councilor Roadcloud?
Yes.
So yes from me. The vote is unanimous. The motion carries.
Okay, the next one, Miranda also mentioned this one. So there's a master casting agreement that is issued by PennDOT, and they ask all the towns to consider entering into this agreement with them. And what it entails, as Miranda said, is that they'll make the adjustments to manhole covers. I don't know whether you've ever driven over a street where they didn't make the adjustment and you kind of dip into the manhole cover because they didn't raise it so that it would be even with the street. And so in this case, if you sign this agreement, they'll go ahead. If you did go over one of those and you go down like that, it's probably because the town did not sign the casting agreement and had to make arrangements to be out there when PennDOT told them to be out there, and you may not be able to get people to respond at the moment. So this way, you know that PennDOT will handle it when they do any work on their state roads if you enter into this agreement with them. And you would need to pass a resolution. It looks like it's 2020-015.
Is there a motion?
So move with a question.
Second.
Having been moved and properly seconded, Councilor Cave, your question?
Eileen, does it cost anything to enter into that agreement?
No. And
And
they
have we
issue
had
a,
this agreement before?
yes.
Mhm. So we're just renewing it for the period of 2020 to 2029.
Mhm.
All right. Without further question, Councilor Cave,
Yes.
Councilor Francis,
Yes.
Councilor Johnson,
Yes.
Councilor Jones Waters,
Yes.
Councilor Dr. McCabe,
Yes.
Councilor Road Cloud.
Yes.
So yes, from me, the vote is unanimous. The motion carries.
Okay, and H is a new issue that arose. There is a sinkhole at 417 Church Lane. This is a state highway. I think it's been 4 years since the last sinkholes developed on Church Lane, and we did a patch there. Now this is a little further down the block, and watching the video 4 years ago indicated that the entire block needs to be replaced, but that's about a $450,000 cost. So I'm asking for authorization to fix the section. I had the linear footage on my, let me see what it is. I think it's only 40 feet, plus I assumed that there would be 2 laterals that had to be replaced, which is what had to be done the last time. So it would be an estimated cost of $51,000. And this is a state road. They aren't going to let you go very long without getting it fixed.
Is there a motion?
So move, Madam President. Second.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any, Councilor Johnson?
I see that the estimate cost is would approximately be 51. That wouldn't go over. Is it possible that it could be under, but we're not going to go over that if we vote on that amount tonight?
I can't guarantee that. I'm saying it's estimated. And actually I just found my notes in the engineer's report. It says 28 linear feet and perhaps 2 lateral. That's what I replaced. If the main is the only thing that's bad, I've estimated 16,000. If the laterals have to be done, then it's, I think, an additional 35. So yes, it could be under, but I can't promise that it's going to only be 51.
Exactly.
It depends. We can't tell until we open it up to see if, when you go to replace pipe, you have to connect to a good section of pipe, or else you just have to keep going and going and going until you find a good piece of pipe to connect to if you're not going to do the whole replacement.
Exactly.
So I think we can do the 28 feet, but I can't promise you that right now.
I understand that you can't give a cost for under, but will 51 be the end result cost? We wouldn't be going over 50.
No, it wouldn't be. So we can't guarantee that until it's opened up. So it's the estimated cost. The actual cost wouldn't be determined until it was opened up.
All righty. Mm-hmm.
And again, this is a state highway, so they, if we have to fix it. Otherwise, if they come in and fix it, don't they bill it back to us at a higher rate, Eileen?
Actually, they won't repair it because it's a sanitary sewer. They'll just order you and
So we have to repair it either way because it's a state highway. So and without further question, Councilor Cave,
Yes.
Councilor Francis,
Yes.
Councilor Johnson,
Yes.
Councilor Jones Waters,
Yes.
Councilor Dr. McCabe,
Yes.
Councilor Road Cloud.
Yes.
So yes from me. The vote is unanimous. The motion carries.
And then there was one item that Miranda brought up that I just wanted to go over, the traffic signal maintenance contract. So if we do want to do work on any traffic signals, A letter came out. I just was going through my emails and I found it. It came out in October of 18, and the last discussion I had was with Tanu, and we didn't have, no, they couldn't find a contract. We didn't have we had never bid it. So I don't know if the borough has a contract or if you've just been using the old maintenance contract that probably has been around for years with, and I think it's Higgins is your contractor. And a letter came out that said you will not be allowed to use liquid fuels unless you have a current traffic signal maintenance contract. So if you think you're going to make any of those improvements that were discussed with PennDOT, then I would recommend that you authorize the preparation and advertisement of bids for traffic signal maintenance.
Is there a motion?
So moved, Madam President.
Second.
Moved and seconded on the question. Hearing none. Councilor Cade?
Yes.
Councilor Francis?
Yes.
Councilor Johnson?
Yes.
Councilor Jones Waters?
Yes.
Councilor Dr. McCabe?
Yes.
Councilor Road-Cloud?
Yes.
So yes from me, the vote is unanimous, the motion carries.
And I just want one clarification on the locations that the police would like to have stop signs. The reason that I indicated that they don't necessarily meet the warrants is because your PennDOT does not permit stop signs to be used for speeding, to reduce speeding. So there may be other reasons why they meet the warrant, but they're just not able to be used for that purpose. So we have a meeting. I don't know whether we actually scheduled it or not. We have a meeting with about the cameras, and we were hoping to meet with the police before that to go over the locations for the traffic calming as well, and see if we can meet any of the warrants that would meet the warrants without actually being to reduce speeds, because you can't have it for that purpose. So I just wanted to give that clarification.
Thank you.
And that should be it.
I see one more. Atrium.
Oh. The atrium. Okay, so where we are with that is the contractor has agreed to replace the ceiling and to fix the wall where the wall was damaged. We are working with the insurance company, the borough management, and ourselves and the contractor to come to an agreement on how to address the elevator damages. And it's really hard to describe, but there's these pipes that are underneath the floor. The pipes carry electric wires from the elevator to the basement to a panel down there, a cabinet actually. And water got in through the floor into those metal pipes and that contained wires, and that's what caused the damage to the cabinet. So the discussion has to be, water was coming in the doors, water was coming through the roof. What's the allocation of responsibility? So that's what we're going to discuss. So we're scheduling a meeting to go over that on site and try to resolve this with everybody's participation and hopefully everybody's financial support.
So Eileen, is it safe to say we should table this, because I know you and I had some conversation earlier. We're talking to the insurance company and everything. I don't know if we're ready to present this to council at this moment.
Oh, I thought okay, so you were asking me if we were asking for a motion? No, we're not.
Yes, there's a motion on the agenda.
Oh, because of the $6,000, the cutting, I didn't have that on this agenda. Okay, yeah, that was I do think that should still be done, but I think we'll wrap it all together and discuss it with the water issues that are related to the water coming in under the doors, and try to come up with one comprehensive repair. So yes, we can hold off on that tonight.
Thank you. Would that end your report?
Yes, it does.
All right.
Could I ask for permission to get off the meeting? Do you mind? I'm supposed to be at my mom's to take care of her, and I'm at work still.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye. We'll move on to our finance report.
Madam President. Yep. I am seeking a motion for the consideration of the accounts payable list.
So moved.
Second.
Having been moved and properly seconded on the question. Hearing none, I'll ask for a roll call vote. Councilor Cade,
Yes.
Councilor Francis,
Yes.
Councilor Johnson,
Yes.
Councilor Jones Waters,
Yes.
Councilor Dr. McCabe,
Yes.
Councilor Rowe-Cloud.
No.
So yes from me, the motion carries.
Thank you, Madam President. I am also seeking a motion for the consideration of the cash balance report.
So moved.
Second.
Having been moved and seconded on the question. Hearing none, Councilor Cade,
Yes.
Councilor Francis,
Yes.
Councilor Johnson,
Yes.
Councilor Jones Waters,
Yes.
Councilor Dr. McCabe,
Yes.
Councilor Rowe-Cloud.
No.
Uh,
So yes from me, the motion carries.
Madam President, I am seeking a motion for the consideration of Resolution 2020-016, authorizing Finance Director Nichols and Borough Manager Mrs. Presswood to be signers on the WSFS accounts, which are formerly the beneficial accounts.
So moved.
Second.
Having been moved and properly seconded on the question. Just confirming that they were previously signers on the beneficial account.
Yes.
All right. I'm sorry, did someone say they had a question?
That was my question.
Okay. Councilor Cade,
Yes.
Councilor Francis,
Yes.
Councilor Johnson,
Yes.
Councilor Jones Waters,
Yes.
Councilor Dr. McCabe,
Yes.
Councilor Rowe-Cloud.
Yes.
So yes from me, the vote is unanimous, the motion carries.
And lastly, Madam President, I just kind of want to mention, since there's a lot of good grant news in tonight's meeting, it looks like we've reached a major milestone in a library renovation grant. Mr. Nichols, you want to elaborate a little bit?
Sure, Counselor. As you all know, we received a library grant back in 2018, and there were a lot of snags along the way. The library project has finally been completed, and now the borough is in possession of $61,141 of state money reimbursed back to the borough for the great work that the contractors did over at the library. And we do anticipate and plan on looking for some more dollars to do some more renovations over at the library and other places in the borough. So we're excited about that.
And I'm sure I'm speaking on behalf of all of council and especially the taxpayers. We appreciate you guys, NJN and the counselors, in the constant pursuit of offsetting tax dollars. I think that's really important. I think, Madam President, correct me if I'm wrong, and it's one of the biggest reasons we wanted to continuously partner with NJN because of that constant pursuit of tax dollars. Offsetting tax dollars. So on behalf of the taxpayers, I appreciate you guys.
Thank you. I appreciate you as well.
That concludes that section.
Yep.
Thank you.
That's everything?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So that's the agenda. All right. Any old business?
I
New
think we're down
business?
to works.
That's right. I'm sorry?
I think we're at Public Works B.
Oh, I'm sorry. I skipped right over there. Public Works?
Is Jeff not there?
No, we just need a council to consider accepting the salt bid of Eastern Salt Company in the amount of 300 total tons at $50.35 per ton.
So moved. I'm sorry. I corrected you and I didn't see that myself. So moved.
Second.
All right. Having been moved and properly seconded on the question.
Does that price sound pretty consistent? I have no idea. I haven't bought any tons of salt lately. Does that price sound pretty consistent?
It is, Councilor King, and we piggyback off of a few municipalities to kind of get a group rate. So that's a good price per ton.
Awesome.
And this is what we normally get every year. This is something that's there the same amount. That works pretty good for the cold months when we need salt.
All right. Without further question, Councilor Cade?
Yes.
Councilor Francis?
Yes.
Councilor Johnson?
Yes.
Councilor Jones-Waters?
Yes.
Councilor Dr. McCabe?
Yes.
Councilor Rowe Cloud?
Yes.
So yes from me, the vote is unanimous, the motion carries. All right.
I actually have a question if I can. It's regarding trash. So I've been noticing that the trash collectors have not been collecting the, well, me personally, trash. My trash day is on Tuesday. For the past few weeks, they have been missing the trash. And when they come around on Wednesday for the recycles, they're mixing the trash with the recyclables. So I'm not sure, is there an issue with the contractor? They don't have enough people to do the job, so they're trying to consolidate, but the rodents are getting into the trash, and unfortunately everybody doesn't clean up the trash once the rodents get into it, and it just makes the driveways look a mess.
So Ms. Presslett, Mr. Nichols, have you had any concerns raised about the trash company outside of this?
There have been a few complaints here and there as far as whether or not they were coming late at times, or yes, sometimes they make it up the next day. In the instance of Councilor Rowe Cloud, her next day, if they come the next day, it sounds like it's a recycling day. So a lot of them aren't exactly in that situation. For example, if they sit on a Thursday, the next day is Friday, that next morning and go back. There was only a complaint one time several months ago about possible mixing of trash and recycling. So we haven't had any of those complaints recently. There were 2 complaints last night that came in that the recycling was not picked up. However, Mr. Wilkinson did reach out, as did I, to B&L, and they went this morning. Some of the issues that B&L having is, I guess they are short-staffed, and you know, when there was the storm, they had issues picking up the trash at that time. So when people report to us the issues that they're having, we reach out to B&L and talk to them about what the different situations are. We have them come back and get it. But if we don't have the reports, then we don't know. The 2 people from yesterday, we need to follow up to make sure that their recycling was picked up. But they did go back out this morning with the recycling. So this is the second time I've heard a complaint about possible mixing of trash and recyclables. So
so what would be your best suggestion about how to report it? I know there's on our website, My Civic app, email. Is there any other way that you would prefer that it's reported?
Some people call in. So if Benita or somebody gets the call, we take the calls as well. So if Benita gets the call, then she will email us and email B&L. But right, they can also come in or direct emails, and we reach out to B&L right away and work with them to find out what the issue is.
And I don't want to, add fuel to the fire, but I will say this: I do know councilors, being in other municipalities, that there's issue with trash just about everywhere right now. I know a big thing has to do with the pandemic and also what's happening down at the dump site at Delaware County Solid Waste Authority. I know that there's been a backlog, not a backlog, but when the trucks go, they have to wait a longer period for whatever reason. So that is causing some delays across the county based off of all of the tons of trash that the trucks collectively are coming to dispose down at Delaware County Solid Waste Authority at the Covanta site. So I know that in another town, I was charged with kind of getting to the bottom of it with Covanta to see if it was a way in which they could expedite their process to get the trucks to dump more trash so that it could be timely and municipalities with picking it up. So I'll follow up with you all at the next meeting, as I am having some conversations with Covanta about that process.
Yeah, yeah, if I could add real briefly, and thank you for that, Mr. Nichols. I'm aware that Philadelphia's had huge problems with the trash has been not picked up for weeks, and it's because of COVID and the backlog of all of that. So trash has been a big problem in Philadelphia. And the other day I had a Lansdowne neighbor come, and he said that they've had problems in Lansdowne, a similar problem in Lansdowne where trash hasn't been picked up. We've had, I'm not minimizing our problem. Whatever we have needs to be fixed to the best of the extent that we can. But I am aware that because of COVID and many of the underlying conditions that Mr. Nichols reported, that it's been a big problem in this area. And if anything, Yeadon, I didn't know this would come up because I was saying, boy, we take a lot of heat on next door for not doing certain things, but all around us in Philly and even in Lansdowne, we haven't had those types to the extent of that type of problem. So I just wanted to throw that out there as well.
All right, and then also it is important that we do receive the reports. So because there a financial penalty for missing homes and per our contract. So we would need those reports in a timely fashion so we can address before the council meeting. All right, so old business, new business. I guess I'll let the chief do his report.
Yeah, we don't want to stymie him, right?
If we have to. Come on, chief.
I'll let my report stand as is. The only thing I'll direct everybody to is the use of force report. It's a brand new form. I also have a policy I'm almost done writing related to that. One of the key things about this use of force reporting is that officers must report a use of force even if it's outside of Yeadon. So because we do a lot of mutual aid stuff with the various departments that border us, if they go into an adjoining jurisdiction and they have to use force, then they have to report it on this form so that I can see it. I also put together a police, the last page of my report, you'll see a Yeadon Police Complaints database. I actually put a database together that I'm going to record any and all complaints that come in. I'm going to also include complaints that are solved, as you see in my initial response, via like a phone call, because a lot of complaints, some people just either don't understand procedure or they don't understand the vehicle code or the law when it comes to like not arresting your neighbor who's made a complaint against you or has threatened you if it's not in view of the officer. So what I plan on doing in future reports, once I get this all complete, and have everything entered, and I really don't have a lot to enter, but once I get everything entered, I'm going to start including complaints against police in my monthly report, so we can be transparent as possible and everybody can see how many complaints have been lodged, if there has been any complaints lodged, and whether or not anything's resulted in anything more than an exoneration. And that's all I have.
Right. Yeah. Without further ado, can we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Madam President.
So moved. Second.
Thank you, everyone. And make sure to look for that information about the assessment clinics on our website tomorrow morning. Right, Mr. Gibbs? All right. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Really? No.